In the quiet town of Oba, where dusty roads met endless dreams, two young hearts once believed in forever. Victor and Helen, they met in secondary school, both full of youthful innocence. Victor was known for his kindness, Helen for her beauty and intelligence. Together, they were inseparable. Everyone said they'd make a perfect couple someday. But life has its own plans, and sometimes love alone isn't enough. Victor was in SS2 when his world shattered. His father, a commercial driver, and his mother, a trader, died in a ghastly accident on their way back from Lagos overnight. The cheerful boy became an orphan. He dropped out of school to survive. His dream of writing WAEC disappeared like smoke. While his mates continued their studies, Victor started learning car mechanics under Alhaji Musa, a hard but honest man who paid little but taught much. Every day, Victor worked under the sun. His hands blistered, his shirt soaked in sweat, his face darkened by oil and sorrow. Yet, amidst all that hardship, he never stopped caring for one person, Helen. Helen continued her studies. Her parents were poor farmers who could barely pay her school fees. Seeing her struggle, Victor made it his mission to help. Every week, he'd save part of his meager earnings, 500 here, 1,000 there. When she told him she needed to register for JMB, Victor sold his only radio and contributed the rest of his savings. He said to her with a smile, "You'll pass. Helen, you're the smartest girl I know." She passed. She gained admission into the University of Benin. And once again, Victor was there even when he could barely afford his own meals. He used his little savings to buy her clothes, provisions, and school items. On Sundays, his only day off, he'd take her to the market, carrying her bags, pricing foodstuffs, buying everything she needed to start school. He told his friends proudly, "My Helen is going to university." They laughed at him, saying, "She forget you there," but Victor believed in her. Months passed. Helen resumed at the University of Benin. Victor called every night, sending her small amounts whenever he could. Sometimes 2,000, sometimes 3,000. Money he earned from changing tires or fixing motorbikes. When her matriculation day came, he traveled from Oba to Benin City with excitement in his heart. He had worked overtime just to buy her a beautiful silver wristwatch and a small cake. He even borrowed a friend's shirt so he would look decent. The journey took nearly 10 hours, but he didn't mind. He wanted to surprise the woman he had given his youth and sweat to. When he arrived at the school gate, he called her. "Helen, I'm at Uniben Gate. I came to celebrate your matric." There was a long pause. Then she said coldly, "You came all the way." "Oh, I'm kind of busy now. My friends and I are going out. Maybe next time." His heart sank. "But I brought you something, Victor. Please, don't make this awkward. I'll call you later." And she hung up. Victor stood outside the school, surrounded by parents taking pictures with their children, laughter echoing everywhere. He waited for hours, hoping she'd change her mind. She never did. Later that evening, he saw her walking past in a green matric gown, holding the hand of a well-dressed young man. She laughed freely, the same laugh that used to make him feel alive. She saw him. Their eyes met for a split second. She turned away and walked faster. That night, Victor sat on a bench near the school gate and cried quietly. The cake melted beside him. The wristwatch lay on his lap, untouched. After that day, things changed. Helen's calls became fewer. Sometimes she didn't even pick up. When she did, her voice was distant. "I'm busy with schoolwork," she'd say. But Victor knew the truth. He still sent her money, sometimes for handouts, sometimes for food, but she stopped thanking him. Weeks later, she changed her WhatsApp profile to a picture with another man. When Victor confronted her gently, she snapped, "Victor, you're a mechanic. I can't keep living like this. I need someone who can take care of me." He was speechless. "But Helen," he said softly, "I gave you everything I had. She replied coldly, "And that's the problem. You have nothing to give anymore." And then she blocked him. For weeks, Victor couldn't eat or sleep. He worked like a madman at the workshop, trying to forget her. The pain hardened him but didn't destroy him. He learned more about the business side of car repairs, importation, spare parts, supply chains. At night, while others drank palm wine, he read about Chinese car markets, Japanese engines, and how to start an auto import business. Years passed. He built himself from nothing. From being an apprentice, he became a workshop owner, then a supplier. Slowly, his name became known. By 30, he was a hidden billionaire, importing auto parts from China and Japan. But he never flaunted it. To the world, he was still Victor the mechanic. Meanwhile, Helen's world collapsed. The rich man she left Victor for, Tony, was an internet scammer. At first, he showered her with gifts, iPhones, clothes, money. But greed soon tore his world apart. Tony was everything Victor wasn't: flashy, smooth-talking, and rich. He drove fancy cars, wore designer clothes, and spent money recklessly. Helen fell deeper in love with him, intoxicated by the life of luxury he offered. What she didn't know was that Tony's wealth came from the dark world of internet fraud. Tony belonged to a syndicate that operated across states and even countries. They lived on deceit, scamming people through fake investments, romance schemes, and online theft. He was smart, confident, and ruthless in the game. Money flowed in endlessly, and Helen enjoyed every bit of it: weekend trips, new phones, clothes, jewelry. She forgot the days when Victor took her to the market with his dusty overalls, carrying her shopping bag with a smile. But greed has a way of destroying everything. After a major deal that brought in over 700 million, tension grew among Tony's group. They were supposed to split the money equally, but Tony believed he deserved a larger share because he did most of the work. He argued, insulted, and refused to hand over the full amount. His partners warned him, but Tony was proud and reckless. One night, they invited him to a meeting at a hotel in the city to settle things. Helen tried to stop him from going. She had a bad feeling, but Tony laughed it off, saying, "Baby, nothing day happen. No small misunderstanding." That night turned out to be his last. In the hotel room, voices were raised. The argument quickly turned violent. Chairs fell, bottles broke, and in the heat of the chaos, one of his closest friends pulled a gun. Tony lunged forward, trying to grab it, but a single gunshot echoed through the room, then another. He fell, clutching his chest, blood soaking his white designer shirt. By the time anyone could think of calling for help, it was over. His own men, frightened and confused, dumped his lifeless body by the roadside at the edge of town. The next morning, news spread like wildfire. Tony was dead. Helen was for months pregnant. Her world shattered instantly. The same man she had left, Victor IV, the one she thought would give her a beautiful life, was gone. She had no one to turn to. Tony's friends cut her off, and she was left struggling to survive with a child on the way. Months later, heavily pregnant and desperate, she walked down a busy street one afternoon, hoping to find a cheap clinic for her checkup. A convoy of expensive cars pulled out of a massive auto parts warehouse nearby. Curious, she turned to look, and her heart stopped. It was Victor. He stepped out of one of the cars, now looking refined, confident, and respected. Workers surrounded him, calling him Boss Vic. She couldn't believe it. The same Victor she once mocked for being a struggling mechanic now owned chains of auto parts businesses across the country. Unknown to her, Victor had become one of the biggest car importers in the region, importing parts from China and Japan. He was a quiet billionaire, humble and hidden beneath the same simplicity she once despised. Their eyes met. Time froze. Victor looked at her swollen feet, the tear-stained face, the pregnancy. Memories flashed through his mind, but bitterness never came. He walked up to her gently, spoke a few kind words, and slipped an envelope into her hand. Inside was enough money to cover her hospital bills and more. "Take care of yourself, Helen," he said softly. "Life has a way of teaching us what love really means." She clutched the envelope to her chest and wept uncontrollably. She remembered the boy who once worked under the sun to buy her food and clothes. The boy who used his only free day to take her to the market. The boy who stood by her dreams when she had nothing. Now, that same boy was the man she lost forever. Her jaw dropped. "You own this," she stammered. He smiled faintly. "Among others." She burst into tears. "Victor, I'm sorry. You're still helping me after everything I did." He sighed. "I'm not helping you. Helen, I'm forgiving you." Helen gave birth safely weeks later. She named her child Victor, hoping to honor the man who once loved her beyond words. Victor never visited. He had moved on, now married with a beautiful son. But sometimes he would drive past her street, watching her from a distance. Not out of pride, but out of memory, a quiet reminder of how love once hurt, but also how it healed. Never despise a struggling heart. The person you look down on today might be the same person destiny will lift above you tomorrow. And to those who love deeply, don't lose yourself trying to prove your worth. Some people can only see your value when you've stopped giving.